Everyone. A couple days ago, I put out a video about Discord and their recent penchant for eating their own user base with their new age verification system that they want to roll out. And since then, there have been some updates to the story. So today we're going to take a look at a video by another user, goes by the name of Belular News. And this guy is pretty decent. I tend to trust his coverage of certain news stories because he puts in the research, a lot more research than I could put in with my very limited amount of time. So I'm going to take us over there. We're going to take a look at his video, and we're going to give our honest thoughts on how this news story is shaking up. So let's go. Okay, so here we are. This is the video by Belular News about the new update for Discord, or the whole Discord drama. So let's take a peek and see exactly what's going on here.
Discord story, it's really important, and it goes way further than where I have got to start it. You see, where I've got to start it is a quote from Discord, and here's the quote. "We failed at our most basic job."
Many of you walked away thinking we're requiring face scans and ID uploads from everyone just to use Discord. That's not what's happening, but we failed at our most basic job, clearly explaining what we're doing and why. That's on us. Asking you to take our word for it isn't realistic, and we know that, so let me try again, plainly, to explain what we're actually trying to accomplish. And that's from Stanislav Vishnevsky. Interesting. So let's take a peek.
Clearly explaining what we're doing and why, that's on us. Now, obviously, Discord have seen the outrage from people, they've seen the Nitro subs being pulled, the fury that has been...
And that right there is the most easy way to send a clear message to any company, is you hit them in their wallet. You vote with your wallet, hit them in theirs, and that's the only language they understand, is money.
Over identity verifications. So what they're doing here is, well, this blog post. They're acknowledging the anger, they're slowing down their rollout, but what they're not doing is cancelling their plans. And as we go through today's video, you're going to learn
so they're still going to go through with it
way deeper, how it could impact your phone, your computer, and really your relationship with the internet, because this is not just about Discord. But first, let's get to the walk back. That kind of is a walk back, but really isn't. What are Discord doing then? Well, their CTO laid out what they're doing in a post, and here goes. More verification options, more transparency about how age...
For a small minority of users who want to access age-restricted content and our internal systems can't confirm that you're an adult, we need to offer alternatives. One of our core goals with age assurance is to give you options. As part of that, we've been evaluating multiple vendors to offer a range of verification options people are comfortable with. You see, just the structure of that statement, like the very clean and corporatized version of this, like it doesn't fill me with a whole lot of confidence.
Checks work, and a delayed rollout to the second half of 2026 instead of this March. Basically, you can't put the genie back in the bottle, but what he can do is use a lot of words to explain what Discord is going to do and how it's going to impact you. And that's because, from his perspective, the big problem is that so many of us, so many of you, think that everyone will be denied access to Discord unless they submit to facial scans or ID checks.
No, that's not true. Well, some people may think that, but according to the stuff that we read previously, is that people can still use the product, but you're going to have like a truncated version of it. You're going to have less features unless you fully submit your identification. And that's the problem that a lot of people are having.
That really does sound quite bad, but for that to be required by everyone has never been Discord's plan. So his hope is to explain all that stuff again and to soothe over fears that they are, in his words, creating a problem to justify invasive solutions. But in reality, his announcement doesn't actually change much about what Discord is doing in particular. But what really matters is what this story reveals globally, and this does include new legislation in some American states, stuff in the UK, stuff in the EU. Basically, if you're watching this channel, and I know the demographics, or I suppose the geographics, this is almost certainly going to impact you in a way that is not
most
just
certainly
Discord. But to explain that, we first need to talk about what Discord is doing, because Discord is trying to influence the laws of the future. So, Discord is still holding to their claim that more than 90% of users will never have to have their age be verified via the likes of a facial scan.
Yeah, and that's exactly what we're talking about. It's like you can still use the product. You don't have to verify your age. They're just going to assume that you are a teenager unless you verify otherwise. So you can still use it. You'll just have limited options.
Or government ID. And that might sound a bit weird. You may think, how could you verify my age just, I don't know, based on vibes? Well, the answer is account level signals. That's a quote from him. And this does include things like payment methods and, quote, patterns of account activity. So no ID, no scans. Basically, is your account and your payment method giving off enough vibes of being an adult that their automated system will be able to tell you're an adult based pretty much off vibes and data signals, and to do that.
And that's something we talked about last time too, is that based off of like what kind of discords you're in, your activity, that kind of thing, that's going to determine in their system whether you're an adult or not, just simply based off of your actions. Another thing too is like, and I don't use Discord. Well, when I did use Discord, I didn't use it in like any kind of like really impactful way. I never paid them any money. I never bought Turbo or anything like that. So like a lot of this is a little bit kind of like going over my head because I never bothered to buy into their systems at all. I just use it as basically a chat channel to talk to the people that I wanted to talk to around me. So I don't know, if you're the kind of person that wanted to use like the Turbo or whatever they use for like their premium, what was that like? Did you actually have a good experience with it? Did it actually give you enough value for the money you're paying for it? I don't know.
They've made for transparency. So there's going to be a blog post explaining how the automated methodology works, public statements for every verification vendor they work.
Vendor transparency. We'll document every verification vendor and their practices on our website and make it clear in the product who each vendor is. We've also set a new requirement. Any partner offering facial age estimation must perform it entirely on device. If they don't meet that bar, we won't work with them. Interesting.
With describing exactly how they work with Discord, technical documentation of the systems, and ongoing reports covering verification volume, methods used, and how often automation handled verification without any user action being needed. Basically, you logging into Discord and their bot saying, "God damn, what a degenerate pervert, definitely an adult, don't need to verify them," which I guess is what the robot will be doing.
Yeah, sure.
All this communication, basically their goal is that you won't have to take their word for it or wait for data miners to figure it out, because you'll be able to read the documentation. Now, on material changes, Discord wants to roll out more options for users so that you can make a more informed choice about how to verify. And the controversy around Persona,
ran a limited test with Persona in the UK only. After completing the test, we decided not to move forward with them.
Stating their biometrics policy. I dislike that we have to talk about the biometrics policy of our social chat app, but here we are. Now, they say that they've set a new bar for any partners offering.
That's another thing too. Like he hits on that pretty easily. That like for a lot of people, myself included, Discord was just there to be a social platform to chat with other players. Or like if you're like in a game with someone, you chat with them that way. Go into a voice channel. It's just a social platform. Like I'm sure I'm not the only one who used it like that. Like I said earlier, like I've never paid Discord a single dime. I have no reason to use Turbo or anything like that. And a lot of other people in the Discords that I would hang out in never did either.
Facial age estimation, including that it must be performed entirely on device, meaning that your biometric data would never leave your phone. Persona did not meet that bar, and thus they won't be working with Persona. And then, to prevent servers from being falsely flagged as being, say, adults only, they're implementing spoiler channels. These are basically going to be veiled channels where server hosts can discuss warning-worthy topics.
Yeah, that's what we talked about last time too. It's like, if you don't verify your age, not safe for work content won't be available to you. Certain like direct messaging programs won't be allowed. So like you just can be using a truncated version of Discord.
Without triggering the adult rating and verification stuff that just comes with those things being talked about in general. And this is stuff that is all going to happen before they roll the system out globally. But they will be rolling it out. They are not going back. And I think you actually need to know why. What Discord is doing now is a preview of what's coming for every platform. This is not just a Discord story. This is a dry run for everything and the world that we are going to share in just a few years. They outright say, quote, "We know many of you believe the right answer is not to do this at all." And they also talk about how for, say, minorities, there can be a risk that personal identification leaks or compliance with government investigations could lead to some genuine threats to people's safety. They talk about edge cases and externality.
That might be it right there. That they're doing this preemptively before the government step in and say you have to do this. Perhaps as some way to like curry favor with the administration.
But their core argument is that there are more teenagers on Discord than ever, and that those teenagers have to be protected, and that needs to happen in a way that allows adults to still have adult spaces, and that this is their solution to that problem. Now, most people understand why Discord complies with the law when they have to, right? Whenever you're a UK person and Discord asks you to scan your face to prove that you're, your age, you don't get that pissed off with Discord because you know that this is a law that they legally have to comply with. But whenever they expand it worldwide before they're forced to, well, that does raise eyebrows. And there are reasons why. We've talked about the IPO as one example. From the early seed funding all the way up to the various rounds of funding they've had since, the IPO is basically their big payday, right? So they want to protect the IPO, but there's also a lot
that is what all comes down to, money.
Give Discord strong financial reasons to act. The penalties for doing wrong by the Online Safety Act in the UK are absolutely huge. But as much as there's plenty of people in the UK and Australia, that's hardly the entire world, yet Discord is trying to roll this out worldwide. Now, they do know there are many laws passing in many countries, like say that Brazil is about to implement their own laws that this new system won't meet, and that the EU and some US states are in the middle of preparing their laws. And they say that by building this ourselves, we can show regulators that it's possible to verify age without collecting identity. And they go on to say that this is the model that they hope the rest of the world will adopt as countries pass age verification laws. So essentially, Discord are hoping that they can roll this out globally and then show the world that their way of solving this works, that their light touch method.
But does it though? Does it actually do the right thing? It's like, I don't think anyone's going to argue that age verification to be a safer place on the internet is like a bad thing. I think what it really comes down to is like the fact that they are collecting so much of a person's data just to pass it off to not just advertisers, but like your local governments as well. It's like, I think that might be where people are having such a huge issue with this story.
That is automated with less than 10% being manual reviews, that can effectively protect children and teenagers. And they hope that if they can do that, then they can calm down the legislators. And that would mean that they would not have to roll out more hardline checks, the types of checks that they know will anger a lot more people than what we're talking about today. So in many ways, this is Discord.
A lot of people are talking about leaving Discord completely, myself included.
The wind is blowing that has them hoping to influence these laws before they are written. But even with that said, and even if you can look at that and think, I guess I can see Discord's angle, and there are certainly worse angles they could take, it is still compliance, and there are other options. What do I mean by other options? Well, actually, I mean options that don't involve Discord. So, you gotta remember that everything happening here with Discord is happening because they are a platform, and kids are on that platform. That means that they are liable. But platform level verification is the last link in a long chain of potential checks. And right now, different parts of the world are trying to move that check somewhere else. This is the most important part of the story by far. It really is. I mean, if you had have just skipped the whole stuff about Discord and landed here, I'd still be happy because this is the thing we need to know. On December 25th,
what is it?
A federal judge blocked a Texas law that would have forced mobile app stores to verify the age of users before they would download any age-rated apps. Now, this would move verification one link down the chain, from the platform to the app distributor. Now, a major tech industry trade group argued that this was a free speech violation. and it probably also helped that it would have exposed Google and Apple to a lot of liability. And the same trade group has since filed a similar challenge.
Yeah, I can see that being a huge issue.
Both these cases will likely end up in the Supreme Court, which does tell us how unsettled this matter actually is. But what if we go even further? What if we just go straight to the device itself? California's law from last October, with Colorado preparing something similar, takes a bit of a different approach. Now, it got support from Google, Meta, and several other tech.
Okay, this part actually pertains to me, so if you don't know, I am in California. Newsom signs age verification law, siding with tech giants over Hollywood. California's age-checking law boasts rare buy-in from major tech firms including Google, Meta, OpenAI, and Snap, unlike similar plans recently passed in deep red Utah and Texas that sharply divided the industry. That unity may have also helped insulate California's measure from a last-minute opposition campaign led by entertainment giants. So, it's more of like a fight between tech and entertainment. Interesting.
Companies, though Apple did actually oppose it because they warned that it risks exposing sensitive personal information. Though, of course, with Apple, we've got to remember that while their privacy stuff is, I think, genuinely better than almost all the other companies, privacy is for them also a moat in their business, so it's not like they're doing it out of the goodness of their heart. But the way that this would work is that an age would be entered on the device when it's set up, and then the operating system
device
would
makers like
basically
Apple and Google
kind of flag
group users
it as
into
an age
one of
category,
4
and the
age
only thing
brackets.
that would be checked by an app like Discord would be that category flag on the device. So Discord would never see your identity or anything like that. It would just have a variable it could access from the phone that says teenager or not. And it's not just phones. The law does actually cover computers, Linux, even SteamOS, like it just, covers devices. Now, from a data protection standpoint, it is better. It means that the liability is resting with one device manufacturer rather than a patchwork of a dozen apps. But no actual data checks would mean that this would be easy to spoof. And there's no way to guarantee that the device is being used by the person who set it up, which means doesn't sound like it's a foolproof thing. But then there's the final step, and it's one I imagine many of you have seen coming. And that is a government-backed digital identity, one that exists regardless of platform. Now, this is the model that...
And this is the thing that makes a lot of people really worried, because, this really feels like a step in the direction that China is already in with the social credit score. It's like if you can... A lot of people have been very, very comfortable with internet anonymity. And if you have to submit all this information online to a government database, that basically removes the internet anonymity. So now you're actually going to have to watch what you say online, because it can be tracked back to you.
EU wants to standardize. They've basically aligned on EIDs across Europe a while back, and now they're looking at age verification as part of the digital identity wallet, which is a whole big system that covers payment, travel, driving licenses, even contract signatures. And right now, the version being tested holds a library of your information that is pulled from official documentation that you have
That sounds
uploaded.
really dangerous.
And when a site, app, or device needs your details, only those details are transmitted. And the end goal is a bit more ambitious. It is basically zero knowledge proofs. And that means that your data is trusted and encrypted, and that whenever a verification is required, a cryptographic proof is provided rather than the data itself. Now, we basically have to assume that some of these options will happen, right? But regardless of approach, they all have something in common. And that is that whether you're doing platform checks, app store gates, device level signals, government wallets, it all involves infrastructure being built. And that infrastructure, once built, can be used for things that it was not initially built for. A system designed to keep a 13-year-old off an adult Discord channel today is a system that knows who you are tomorrow, and maybe there could be unintended consequences. What if a bad actor...
Yeah, unintended consequences for sure. It's like right now, you are just doing age verification, but who's to say that it stops there? It's very likely that all this information scraping that is happening right now is going to lead to something a lot more constrictive later.
Could do some stuff across Discord and build a dataset of accounts that, rather than being verified to be adults, are verified to not be adults. That's not a nice thought, is it? but that kind of thing could be possible. And remember what Discord themselves have said here, that personal identification leaks or compliance with government investigations could lead to genuine threats to people's safety. Even listening to a lot of what Dario Amodei and some of the Anthropic policy people have been saying over the last while, one of the things that's concerning when it comes to mass surveillance is that you can just aggregate loads of already publicly available data sets, and with the power of those AI models, you can, for lack of a better word, cook. So it means that even if nothing changes about how much of your data is out there, the better technology means that way more surveillance is practical with access to all of that data. And that's the sort of risk that will grow as the infrastructure grows.
Yeah, and I think
I
think that right there is what everyone's really worried about right now is the surveillance. It's like the social credit score, the knowing who everybody is, having no chance at internet anonymity anymore. It's like if you've ever seen the movie Minority Report, you probably already know where this is headed. It's a pretty scary prospect.
Discord system is reasonable right now. It's whether the architecture being normalized across all of these solutions stays reasonable in 5 years. Or 10 years. God knows what it'll be in 20 years. It means that privacy and identity are now potentially required to be compromised in some level in order for you to exist in the internet. And the real fight is over how much data is compromised and who holds the keys to that data. And that is where I loop back to Discord. With that broader story covered, I think you can now understand why Discord are trying to comply in advance. They can basically see the turning tide on a global scale. They don't have Apple or Google money. They don't have the political clout to lobby in their own defense. So they are capitulating. They're hoping that their model, a light touch, automated, minimal verification one, is accepted by regulators before someone mandates something worse. But of course, in doing so, they are helping to build the very infrastructure that everyone here is worried about, and nobody has agreed on what the rules for that infrastructure should be. Discord has become a test case. If their approach satisfies regulators, then that could be the model that every platform adopts. But it already doesn't satisfy the likes of UK regulators. And if it continues to not satisfy regulators, then harder checks will follow, and the architecture for those checks is already in place. But either way, the plumbing for all of this will get laid, and our privacy concerns will only grow, especially as our technology allows us to process all the data that is out there in radically different and faster and more actionable ways. Now, Discord is still responsible for their choices, but the argument isn't really about Discord anymore. It's about whether proving who you are becomes a requirement to exist online and who gets to hold that proof. That is not Discord's call. It's going to be the governments they're trying to get ahead of that will decide what the internet looks like, and that means we should actually try to engage with our governments to do whatever it is we can to not have the internet end up being some sort of draconian nightmare. But you know what's also a nightmare? Going through all the documents related to the ashes of...
Yeah, I'd say this is probably one of the biggest stories to come out, at least in like the tech and gaming space of like the last like couple weeks at least. And as for myself, even with all this new information, I really got to say that I'm saying goodbye to Discord. I have no reason to go back to it. Aside, really the only server in my Discord list that would compel me to come back and use it again would be to use a Discord for like one of my local game stores that I like to go to. But even then, it's not really necessary. I can still just go down to my local store and talk to them in person. It's not worth all of the risk involved to keep using Discord. Internet anonymity is definitely going the way of the dodo. We're not going to have it in the way that we have it now in the years to come, because like this is just an opening step. Kind of like in the same way how microtransactions in games have become normalized over time, just by drip feeding bit by bit by bit until we have all become accustomed to it. This is going to happen in the same way. I'm fairly certain of it. So that's what I got for you today. For now, I'm gonna pass it off to you in the comments because I want to know what you guys all feel about this. Are you guys going to be quitting using Discord as well? Are you going to try and find another platform to utilize? Where are we all going? That's the big question. And honestly, I don't think there is a reasonable competitor to Discord right now. But maybe a new one will come up in its place because of this. So that's it. I'll leave it there for now. So until next time, you take care of yourselves.